Namaste, dear aspiring flying officers. Hope you have done well in the integrated practice test 1, and I hope you have got very good marks in the test. And now in this lecture, let us discuss Indian polity. And in Indian polity, parts of Indian constitution. In AFCAT examination, there are 100 questions spread over English, general knowledge, quantitative aptitude, and reasoning ability, 25 each. The time is 2 hours combined, and maximum marks are 300. That is one question. If you get it correct, 3 marks, and if you get it wrong, minus 1 mark. And there are 25 parts in our Indian Constitution. And the Constitution, it starts with preamble. And the first part is having 4 articles, and it discusses the Union and its territories, India and its territories. Part 2 discusses citizenship, and it is having articles from 5 to 11, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 7 articles it has. Then part 3, articles 12 to 35. This part 3, it has provisions for fundamental rights. And this particular part 3 of Indian Constitution is called Magna Carta of India. Then we have part 4, articles 36 to 51. And this part 4 contains directive principles of state policy. Then we have part 4A, and there is only one article in this part 4A, that is 51A, which discusses fundamental duties. Then we have got part 5, dealing exclusively with the center. Center is called the Union. Articles 52 to 151 in part 5, they discuss the Union executive, parliament, legislative powers of the president, the Union judiciary, and the comptroller and auditor general of India. Next we have got part 6, articles 152 to 237. And in this part 6, the provisions are states, general, the executive, the state legislature, legislative powers of governor, the high courts, and the subordinate courts. That is, part 6 discusses the states, and part 5 discusses the union. Then part 7, it has been omitted by way of 7th Amendment. And part 8, articles 239 to 242. This part 8 discusses the union territories. You know, there are several union territories, such as Jammu and Kashmir, a National Capital Territory region of Delhi, and so on. And part 9, it deals with the panchayats. Part 9A deals with the municipalities, while part 9B deals with the cooperative societies. And part 9 deals with scheduled and tribal areas. Next we have part 11, Articles 245 to 263, and it deals with the relations between center and state, that is the legislative relations and administrative relations between the union and the states. Part 12, we have Article 264 to 300A. It deals with finance, borrowing, property, contracts, rights, liabilities, obligations and suits, and right to property in this part 12. Then we have got part 13, trade, commerce, and intercourse within the territory of India. Recently, one state banned movement of potato from their state to neighboring states. And during this event, Article 301 of our Constitution, which guarantees freedom of trade across India, was in focus. Then we have got part 14, Articles 308 to 323. It deals with services and public service commissions under the union and the states. That is, the Union Public Service Commission or any respective state public service commission, they are mentioned in part 14, Articles 308 to 323. Then we have got part 14A. It deals with the tribunals. And then part 15, it deals with elections. Then we have got part 16. It deals with special provisions relating to certain classes. Then we have part 17, Articles 343 to 351. And this part 17 deals with official languages, language of the union, regional languages, language of the Supreme Court, High Courts, and special directives. Part 28, it deals with Articles 352 to 360. I'm sorry, this is this is part 18, not 28. This part 18, it deals with the emergency provisions. Then part 19, Articles 361 to 367, it has got a provision for miscellaneous affairs in our Indian Constitution. Then part 20, it has got only one article, Article 368, and it deals with the amendment of the Constitution. Then we have got part 21, Articles 369 to 392, and it deals with temporary, transitional, and special provisions. And part 22, Articles 393 to 395, it deals with short title, commencement, authoritative text in Hindi, and repeals. And then some of these parts, they are further divided into chapters. Like part 5 is further divided into 5 chapters. Like the Union Executive, Parliament, Legislative Powers, Union Judiciary, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. And part 6 is further divided into 6 chapters. General, the executive, the state legislature, legislative powers of governor, high courts, subordinate courts, and then the part 11 is further divided into two chapters. The relations between the center and state, the legislative relations, and administrative relations. Then part 12 is further divided into four chapters: finance, borrowing, property, contracts, rights, liabilities, obligations, and suits, and right to property. And part 14 is further divided into two chapters. While first chapter deals with the services, the second chapter deals with the Union Public Service Commission and respective state public service commissions. And part 17 is further divided into four chapters. This part 17, it deals with official languages. There are several previous year questions on these parts, and all those previous year questions and also important questions we are going to discuss further in this lecture. Now, see this. Fundamental rights are enshrined in the Constitution of India in which part? Please take a minute pause. If required, please rewind and go through all the parts which we have discussed and then answer this question. Please take a minute pause. Okay. Now, these provisions relating to fundamental rights, they are mentioned in part 3 of our Constitution. And interestingly, this part 3 of our Indian Constitution is also called Magna Carta of India. And the part 1, it deals with India and its territories. Part 4 deals with the directive principles of state policy. And part 5 deals with center, that is union executive, parliament, comptroller and auditor general. Right? Next question. Part 17, Article 343 of Constitution of India relates to what? Okay, please take a minute pause and try to answer it on your own. Okay, let us see the solution. Part 17, Article 343, it relates to official languages. Just now we have discussed it, right? And then the option A, national emergency, is in part 18, Article 352. And option C, election commission, is in part 15, Article 324. And the Supreme Court is mentioned in part 5, Article 124. Along with the correct option, it will be better for us if we discuss what are the other options are above. This way, we can reinforce our understanding of parts of Indian Constitution and remember the parts well. The next question is, which articles in the Constitution of India provides high courts in each state? Right. Obviously, this high court would have been mentioned in that part which deals with states. Okay. Let us see that. Now there are four options: part 4, part 6, part 3, part 15. Okay. Let us see what is the answer. Part 6, articles 214 to 232 deal with provisions regarding high court in each state. Right. If you remember, part 5 deals with the union center and part 6 deals with the state. Right. Next. Amendment to the Constitution of India is mentioned in which part? We have discussed just now. There is only one article in this part. Right. And that article is 368. And the procedure of amendment to the Constitution of India is mentioned in Part 20. Next, provisions relating to Panchayat in Constitution of India are mentioned in which part? Okay, you have seen those three: Panchayats, municipalities, right? Panchayats are mentioned in Part 9, Article 243. Next, which part of the Constitution of India is known as Magna Carta of India? Just few questions before we have discussed. Magna Carta of India, Part 3. Okay, so let us see solution. Part 3 of Constitution of India, containing fundamental rights in Articles 12 to 35, is known as Magna Carta of India, the Charter of Rights. Right. Now, what is this Magna Carta? This was a Charter of Rights issued by King John in year 1215, and it was the first document about fundamental rights of citizens. Next, we have which part of Constitution of India directs the state to provide equal justice and free legal aid. By the wording of this question itself, you can guess in which part it is, or which what does it what that part deals with. Okay, you have a clue in the directs, the word directs. Okay, so it should obviously be directive principles of state policy, and the DPSP are in part 4 of Constitution of India, and Article 39A mentions equal justice and free legal aid. Next, we have got which part of Constitution of India deals with state legislature, right? We have just, till now, we would have discussed it some 10-15 times, right? Part 5 deals with the union. Part 6 deals with state legislature. Okay. So the correct option is option A, part 6. Right. Suppose the same question is which part of Constitution of India deals with the union? Then our answer would have been option B, part 5. Right. Next question. Which part of Constitution of India deals with citizenship? Right. You can very easily answer this. It is part 2. Part 1 deals with India and its territories, and part 1 deals with India and its territories. Part 2 deals with citizenship. Articles 5 to 11. Next, we have got which part of Indian Constitution deals with finance, property, contracts, and suits? Right. That is part 12 of Constitution of India deals with finance, property, contracts, and suits. Right. Next, this is an interesting question. Right. Which of the following statements regarding parts of Indian Constitution is incorrect? Okay. So let us see what is this. Part 11 deals with center-state relations. Part 4, Articles 36 to 51 on DPSP. No, this is wrong. Right. Okay. Then option C, Part 1 deals with union and its territories. This is correct. And option D, there is only one Article 51A on fundamental duties in Part 4A. This is also correct. And option A, Part 11 deals with center-state relations. Yes, this is correct. Part B is incorrect. Right? Now, what actually part option B, right? What it should have been? Part 3 of Constitution of India, Articles 12 to 35 on fundamental rights is known as Magna Carta of India. Okay, it is not a DPSP, right? It is the fundamental rights part 3, which is known as Magna Carta. Next, which part of Constitution of India deals with the union executive and legislative powers of president? Right. Even without seeing the options, you can answer it. Part 5. Okay. Part 5 of Constitution of India deals with the union executive, union judiciary, parliament, legislative powers of the President, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Right? Let us meet in the next lecture. Till then, Jai Hind.